Hey guys, what's going on? It's Tupax and welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to be showing you guys my personal Minecraft settings as well as Lunar client settings here. And I do play a lot of Bed Wars, so this is kind of optimized for my game to look moderately fancy, but as well as have it optimized for FPS. But yeah, without further ado guys, let's get straight into this video. I hope you all do enjoy. Also, yeah, make sure you guys drop a like, sub, comment, as well as join my Discord server if you do enjoy and if this does end up helping you out in optimizing your game. But yeah, thanks all, and let's get straight to the settings. So I actually do want to address this, and I'm on a laptop right now, and I have a 1050 Ti GPU, and normally it should perform much better than this, but there's something called Nvidia Optimus, which doesn't allow me to utilize my GPU to its full potential on games like Minecraft. So normally if I was on a PC instead of a laptop, I would be able to get much higher FPS, but unfortunately that's not the case, so I have to make do with what I have. I mean, 300 FPS right now is still like quite a substantial amount of FPS, but it would have been better if I was on a PC. But yeah, keep that in mind, and let's get on to the settings. Alright, so the first settings here, if I go to options, video settings, these are the main video settings here, and I have my graphics set to fancy because personally I want my game to look moderately good, and if I do turn this to fast, I don't really notice a difference in terms of FPS, so I just keep it on fancy to ensure it still looks quite articulate. And yeah, just have my smooth lighting off like this and have that 100%. I just keep this like as a standardized level here. And brightness, I always put on bright and never leave it on moody, and I'm always on full bright, so it doesn't really matter anyways. Dynamic lights off. Render distance, I keep it at 10. I used to use 12, but I feel like 10's a nice sweet spot for Bed Wars games, and sometimes I play some practice, so I like to keep it a little bit lower. And I use view bobbing, of course. I put my max frame rate on unlimited. That's especially important because you want to try get as much FPS as you can. Some people put on VSync and to keep it like stable and limit to your, as it says, limit to your monitor frame rate. But I just leave it as unlimited so I get as much FPS as I can. Onto the FOV type things. So I use dynamic FOV. Some people don't like it, and of course view bobbing. A lot of people don't use view bobbing, but I personally like using view bobbing because I just think it looks better when I PvP. And if you move on to the shaders, I have a fair amount of shaders here. I mean, not too much, but I like to switch between these shaders here. And this was actually the Animal Crossing shaders that I used in a video for a challenge. It was a pretty fun challenge. If we go into the details here, I have the clouds off because I have custom sky, of course. I put my trees on fast because I don't see trees that often and I don't need them to look that good. Sky off, of course, because I use a custom sky. Sun and moon off, fog off, translucent blocks on fast because I feel like that's the best option. And dropped items fancy. I want my items to look quite picturesque when they're dropped, so I mean that's what I personally use. I keep my vision net on fast because I don't really need it to look fancy. I think it's a little bit too dark, so I just put that on fast. And everything here is a little bit random. Cloud height off, of course. I have clouds off anyways. Rain and snow fast in case I'm playing survival. I want to be able to see if it's raining or snowing. Stars are on. I just leave it on because it helps make the sky look nicer. And show capes on, of course. I want to see optifying capes. Everything else is just kind of your personal preference. Entity shadows, I want to keep that on off because I personally think that having a shadow underneath you makes it look a little bit weird and unnatural, so I just leave that as off. Animations, I personally have all of them on, and you can tinker with this to your own preference, but I just have this all on. And yeah, I mean, it makes the game look better. I don't think a lot of them really affect your FPS unless you're in like a high pixel lobby when there's fireworks all the time and whatnot, but if you just leave them all on, it should be fine. You can just adjust them to your liking if you want to. Now if we head into the quality tab here, I have my mipmap levels on off, mipmap type nearest. I don't think it affects your FPS too much, but I believe if it's higher it could reduce it, so I just keep it down on the low, and it doesn't really make a huge difference in terms of visuals. And I also have all these settings here, so anti-aliasing is on off. I feel like it doesn't make a huge difference in terms of appearance. You can always change it in your Nvidia control panel if you wish, but I just keep it on off. Anisotropic filtering on off as well. Clear water off, and custom fonts. Connected textures, I want my blocks to, when they're connected, to look quite nice, so I keep that on fancy. Custom sky is especially important because if I turn that off, it just looks like this. And if we turn that back on, boom, look how much better that looks. so that is especially important to me. I keep that on. And here are a few other settings. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the quality settings tab. Let's go to performance. Smooth FPS is on off because I don't really need the FPS stabilization. And some people turn this on so the FPS is stable, but I just turn it off because I like to have as much FPS as I can. And yeah, I don't feel like it's really important in keeping it on. Smooth world on off. I don't think this really affects your multiplayer servers, so I just leave it on off. Fast render on off. I personally feel like this doesn't change your FPS too much, and sometimes I use shaders and you need this off to use shaders, so I just keep it on off. Fast math on. Chunk updates on 1, dynamic updates, and here are a few other settings, and lazy chunk loading on off. Other, just a few things here. I have my autosave on 6 minutes because if you leave it on the default for 45 seconds, it could cause lag spikes and it may ruin your FPS when you're playing in single player. I don't really think it really affects your multiplayer world, but yeah, just keep it on 6 minutes or even higher. I suppose while we're at it, we can check out our controls here. And personally, I use 60% sensitivity alongside 800 DPI, and this is kind of like a sweet spot for me with the amount of space that I have on my mouse pad, and I feel like I can just move around quite well with this sensitivity. And it's really all up to personal preference, so you guys have to decide that for yourself as to what sensitivity you want. And everything else is pretty much kept the same. I have 8 and 9 binded to my mouse buttons here, and that's quite comfortable for me. I always wanted to try bind them to letters on my keyboard, but I never really bothered to do that because it would take a while to get used to them, and yeah, I don't really want to do that. But I mean, I'll probably will in the future because it does help quite a bit with PvP if you can move around your hotbar quicker. And apart from that, everything else is pretty much kept the same here, nothing that special. And music and sounds, of course, these are my settings. You kind of have to adjust this to your own preference once again, because everyone's volume on their earbuds or headphones are different, so that's up to you. And yeah, my packs here, I have a bunch of packs. I don't really use all of them, but here they are. You can kind of check them. A few of these packs I made a mashup from by myself. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm using Magesta 16X by Bombies right now. It's a pretty nice pack, and I got it 1 or 2 days ago, so I've been using that. Chat settings, of course, I keep it like this so it doesn't take up too much space here, and I'm still able to see my hearts well. But I mean, that's pretty much it, and I guess we can just move on to our Lunar client settings now. Now for the Lunar client portion of this video. So I don't really have anything fancy here. I'm gonna show you my mods. 1.7 visuals, I have everything on because I think 1.7 visuals are the best out of all the Minecraft visuals. Then here I have a few other mods, so FPS, CPS on, and toggle sneak sprint. This is especially important if you're a PvPer, and this helps in battles, of course. I leave the toggle sneak off because I bridge, and it's not very handy if you're toggling your sneak all the time while bridging. It can make it quite a lot slower. I used to use coordinates when I played factions, but I have that off because now I'm playing Bed Wars, don't really need it. Armor status enabled. Keystrokes is kind of like, I don't know, it's a little bit of a hassle to have on your screen. It's a little bit big, kind of looks out of place, so I turned that off to keep everything a little more organized. And I have the potion effects here, quite nice. And I also have the color name based on effect. I personally think that makes it look a lot more nice because it has like an RGB color to it depending on the what potion effect you have on, so I find that quite nice. Waypoints, I used to play HCF a lot and factions, so this was especially important, but I don't really use it now, so it's kind of just on for no reason, but I just leave it on anyways. Scoreboard, of course, you can adjust your scoreboard size here. I just personally leave mine on 1, so I'll just leave it how it is. I think it's a good size. Everything else, ping, I think I kind of like this layout here, how the FPS, the ping, and the clock there. The clock's really handy when you're playing Minecraft in full screen, so I would definitely recommend having that on. Chat, I don't really do anything with that. And then of course the clock there. Time changer I use sometimes to change the time here. If I want to get a certain feel or certain vibe to the video, I just kind of adjust with these settings here sometimes, but I normally have it on disabled. And then of course free look here, pretty important. I have this binded to a button on my mouse, so I can just click it whenever I want to use free look, and it's pretty handy. I do use that a lot in Bed Wars games, so it's quite a useful mod here. Everything else is kind of just random. There are options. Auto text hotkey, I mean, can be useful, but yeah, I think it's not allowed on Hypixel, so it's automatically disabled. And some people use item physics, but I personally don't, because I just like how the items look when they're dropped normally, but it's all up to personal preference here. Everything else can be useful, but it's just how you want to use it. And I didn't really change anything here. I mean, of course, all the cosmetics should be on, because that makes the game look pretty nice when you have cosmetics. And everything else is just off here. I mean, it's kept normal. And yeah, sometimes I use full bright, sometimes I don't, but I mean, it's bright enough anyway, so that's good for me. But I mean, yeah, I guess that's the end of the video, guys, and maybe next time I'll do a OBS and Sony Vegas settings video, because I think I have pretty good settings down. And yeah, if you want to see that, let me know in the comment section down below. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If it did help you out, make sure you drop a like, sub, comment to show some support on this video. But without further ado, guys, I wish you all a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you on the next video. Should be a commentary or challenge video, but yeah, see you guys then. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Peace out.